This is brother Old God from In the Black Hip Hop News. Let's do this again. We're gonna do this story once again. This one's gonna be about the murder and execution of the late great scholar, activist, revolutionary Tupac Amaru, Shakur, and some of the circumstances leading up to his death, why he was killed potentially. You know what I mean? Some evidence, and we always gotta look for motive. Motive. Why was he killed? Because around the time of his death, he turned into a quite a political activist. Even though he was kind of living both sides of the fence, he turned into an activist. Around the time and before of his murder. Meeting with gangs in L.A., talking about politicizing gangs. And really just educating the community on turning their aggression, and anger towards the real oppressor. You know what I mean? This was deemed as a problem, for the federal government. And this is not even nothing that comes from my own words. This is something that you can read. They have their own papers that they wrote up about their counterintelligence programs that they have in place to stop different organizations, to stop individuals, from pretty much bucking up against the system of oppression that we all, continuously, live under. Tupac was speaking out about it. He was exposing homosexuality. He was exposing, a lot in that day and time that, can't, no other artist or music personality has ever been come close. So we definitely salute him. His mother, with the Panther 20, getting those the Panthers out of jail, by herself, pregnant with Tupac. One thing you have to remember, and that's a lot to say. I'm gonna try to squeeze it in a 10-minute video. Is that Tupac, and again, this is all documented, has been followed a long time by the federal government to kind of monitor, his progress and what he's doing, in his life. So I want to play this clip here from an old video, an America's Most Wanted clip, where they talk about Orlando Anderson, aka his street name, which you will hear in this video, and they talk about some of the why he was who possibly killed Tupac. So let's look at this film. We'll be right back, family.
Denied.
His Most Wanted continues.
In just a few minutes, we'll bring you exclusive new information in the killing of Tupac Shakur. He sang gangster songs, and he lived the gangster life. Last September, he died the gangster death. In this exclusive report, our correspondent, Lena Nozizwe, brings us new information on the murder of rap star Tupac Shakur.
And ended with a spray of bullets just a dice throw away from the Vegas Strip. The court document is an affidavit filed in Los Angeles that could shed some new light on the murder of the controversial rapper. Our affidavit says the necklace was stolen by this man, Orlando Anderson, known on the street as Baby Lane, a reputed member of the Southside Crips. The conflict came to a boiling point last September, the night of the Tyson fight, when, as our affidavit reveals, Anderson was spotted in the lobby of the MGM Grand by the victim of the necklace robbery. The document says this sighting is what prompted the infamous fight at the hotel. This exclusive video shows a steamed Tupac leaving the hotel with Death Row CEO Suge Knight and a growing entourage. The two headed up the Strip on their way to a fundraiser when a gunman in a white Cadillac opened fire.
So we see the evidence. We know that night that Tupac was slain. Suge Knight was apparently grazed, by the bullet. So you have to look at motive. You know what I mean? And why not use somebody who could actually be close to the situation? Now you have some other theories talking about gang members, did it, but it's already been proven factually that the FBI has surveillance, of Tupac. And this is one thing that people say, well, this means a lot, because the FBI have surveillance over every move you make, which means they put a tail on you. How could they not find the person who killed you unless they were in on it? Now again, the book is called Head of State. You know what I mean? Excuse me, an active state. And this is a book, you know, where the United States government was proven, active state, was proven to have been behind, orchestrated the assassination of the late great Martin Luther King. Proven. You know, it's already been proven. It's been documented. If you don't believe me, look it up. Look at the information. Get the book. I'm not lying about it. So this is a very, again, the COINTELPRO papers let you know that there were and still are, you know, programs in place to stop, you know, rises of movements against, you know, the government. Now, when we talking about against the government, let's define this, because a lot of people like to go on. They try to use the communist word, and now they use the word, they say terrorist, but really it's just, you know, a response to the oppressor. You know what I mean? For example, you know, if you were in the land and you and your people occupied the land, and a foreign people invader came in, took over the land, started raping your women, trying to force things on you, they will be oppressing you. You know what I mean? So when you know, and this is just what happened, you know what I mean? Historically, when you start to respond to that, they can't call you a terrorist, but that's what they try to do. When you're responding to somebody stealing your resources, stealing everything from you, you know what I mean? That all the way down from your name, your language, your culture, you know, pretty much everything about you. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. So you talk about groups that are in response. You know, when you talk about Tupac and the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army in response, you know, to, you know, an oppressor. You know what I mean? Oppressing them. So, if anybody would like to argue that I want to leave it on Tupac, I would just say the United States of America itself was responding, you know, to Britain. And that's what you have wars, you know, in the history, and they declared their independence, and you know, and it's venerated as a holiday. You know what I mean? So this is just a part of the culture, the fabric, you know, of America. But in those COINTELPRO documents and those papers, you know, it says specifically to stop the rise of a black messiah who could electrify, militarize, and organize, you know, the militant black, you know, nationalist groups. This is something that they always try to thwart and halt the progress. You know, and Tupac having connections through his mom, Alfini, his auntie, Assata Shakur, a.k.a. Joan Chesimard, his step pop, you know what I mean, Geronimo Pratt, and all these different people who are involved, you know, in the struggle, you know, or the liberation, you know what I mean, struggle in this time. This is the lineage that he comes from. So he's just, you know, in his music, even though he talked about bitches and hoes, he tried to provide a counterbalance. And if Tupac were to get too powerful and to spread the message, and you know, and this will obviously be a problem to the establishment. So what do you have to do? You know, A, kill them. 2, ruin them in the media. 3, both. You know what I mean? We look at the different these different cases that were put on Tupac and these different things like that. You know, all to, you know, again, this is all COINTELPRO directives. It's all in their operatives to disrupt, to discredit, you know, leadership. You know what I mean? All the way from Marcus Garvey all the way, you know, to now, it's been an attack. You know, the only black leadership that is allowed to be in leadership is an effeminate, homosexual, postured, you know, weak, broke down, dress wearing, you know, so-called brother is the only one that's allowed to really, you know, show any type of, you know, influence. And this could all be documented, but the murder of Tupac, though we have to this, you know, your parents told you to use common sense or use logic on why he was murdered at such a young age. Use logic, how all these influential people that speak out against tyranny and oppression, how they coming up murdered and killed. You know what I mean? Nobody ever found the killer, but you in the middle of Las Vegas, the biggest fight night in the century or whatever, and in the city, one of the busiest strips lit up, FBI surveillance and nobody finds the killer, again, open your eyes and think. So why, again, go back. Why was he killed? Because he was becoming too much of a, he was gaining too much power and becoming too much of a political activist and doing too much of the right thing. Yes, too much of the right thing. Who? I think it was a collaboration between different alphabets, whether it be the FBI, CIA, LAPD, all law enforcement agencies. I believe that were involved, in the killing, the murder, the execution of Tupac Shakur. So the research is out there, the facts is out there. You have to just put two and two together in your logical mind. So rest in peace to Tupac, rest in peace to Alfini, Biggie. You know what I mean? The roads that grew from concrete. This is your brother, Oh God. This has been an In the Black Hip Hop News production in conjunction with In the Black Media Productions. You know what I mean? Make sure you subscribe. It's the voice of the people. Make sure you share this video. You already know what it is, man. Peace. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day or night. Peace.